Welcome to Langar Week. We're here at Sri Guru Singh Sabha Gurdwara in Slough, and we're going to be joined very soon by Dhesi, our local MP, to come and partake in Langar. And we're going to talk to him about what it means, what Langar means to not just the Sikh community, but the whole world, and other issues that are affecting the Sikh community today. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa,
Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Dhesi, thank you for joining us here today at Singh Sabha Gurdwara. We'd just like to have a few words with you about Langar Week and just a few general topics affecting the Sikh community.
Well, Dawinderpal Singh Ji, ek ta bahut khushi hui that we're here in Slough at the Sri Guru Singh Sabha Slough Gurdwara as we mark Langar Week. And I think in terms of Langar, we know that is a huge institution within the Sikh faith, instituted by the founder of the Sikh faith, Guru Nanak Dev Ji. It's about feeding everybody, but it's a lot more than just food. So we're there to make sure that we are practicing and preaching equality, so everybody preparing and serving Langar together, and that free community kitchen food is then partaken by everyone. We're all sitting on one level. I know that nowadays there are obviously certain compensations made for those, whether they're elderly, if somebody's got a back problem or knee problem, and that there are chairs available as well. But for most of us sitting in Pangat, and I think that's important. And that's what we should be encouraging going into the future as well, that we cannot lose sight of the fact as to how many people are fed through Langar, many of whom may not be able to afford a meal 2 or 3 days a week, 2 or 3 days a day, 2 or 3 times a day, sorry. But I think it's very, very important that we don't lose sight of the fact that it's a lot more than just preparing and eating food. It's about that equality which Guru Sahib wanted to instill in all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And here at the Gurdwara, obviously, we take part in Sangat as well as Pangat. You know, we sit down and we do Simran, or we listen to Part, or we listen to Kirtan. But obviously, the Gurdwara is somewhere that's open to everybody, not just Sikhs. And a lot of non-Sikhs do come to have Langar as well. But what we're seeing now as well, some people, especially like you were saying, maybe some people don't have 2 or 3 meals a day, and they don't really know that the Gurdwara is open to them and that they can come and have Langar.
Definitely. And I think that's where the work of the Sikh Press Association within the Langar Week program that you have year on year. This isn't the first time I'm sitting here with yourself. Pre-COVID, we also caught up, and that got a lot of local coverage as well. And I think the national coverage around Langar Week is important because it demonstrates to the vast majority of the public, 99% of the UK population who is not Sikh, that they also realise what Langar is about and the benefits of that. So well done to Sikh Press Association and yourselves in that regard.
It's all Guru Nanak Dev Ji, it's all their kirpa. But you were talking earlier today with some of the youth here with us here at this Gurdwara about the great work that they've done. In terms of your role being a national role, or even international at times, what advice do you have for young people who want to get into politics?
Yeah. Well, it's very, very important that we encourage the next generation, that we need to ensure that we are following the message of the Guru, that we are getting involved within the local community. It's not enough just to be thinking about oneself or one's family. We're looking to work for the betterment of all, regardless of background or colour or creed. The best way to do that is through seva, is through that selfless service. So whether that is in the Gurdwara, whether that is in the local community in terms of a local charity, whether that's helping out in the local school, becoming a school governor, whether that is to help in terms of children's football or netball, getting involved in those activities, providing children with that platform, that you can partake in seva in so many different ways. whether it's to raise funds for charity, whether it is to actually run a charity, whether it is to be involved in the Gurdwara committees and so on, or to stand for council or stand for parliament. And I do hope that more and more young people will be encouraged in that direction. We need to see more young people, but we also need to see more women within our democratic institutions, but also in wider society. So within the Sikh setting, for example, we're here in a Gurdwara, we need to encourage more and more young girls and women to be involved in the committees. That's the best way that we can ensure that we have individuals with different priorities, different perspectives, who will then end up enhancing that institution. Yeah. That cannot be underestimated, the power of that. It's not right and proper that something just becomes a male-dominated sphere, that we need to ensure that we need to bridge the generational divide. There needs to always be a balance. So young and old, male and female people from different walks of lives, rich and poor, all getting together, serving the Gurukar, but also serving the wider humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of politics as well, very recently we had the West Midlands 3 case in Westminster Magistrates Court. We spoke about that beforehand, about the idea that a lot of people in Slough were concerned about this, and they had their reservations about what was going to happen in this case. And when the verdict came out, I for one was shocked at how kind of little evidence there was that actually this whole case was stood up on. Yeah. What was your reaction from that?
Yeah, I think that this was an issue that was raised to me by various Slough constituents, and I also then discussed that with the parliamentarians whose constituents they were. They were based in the West Midlands, namely in Coventry and in Wolverhampton. Spoke with those two members of parliament who were representing their 3 constituents. They also showed great leadership on this to make sure that nobody is forcibly deported, that due process needs to take place. We were waiting on the court verdict as well. This is something that I've discussed in media as well. I think for all of us, we wanted to make sure that there was justice for those 3 individuals, but also that the government is not just ramroding something through without having looked at the evidence. That it's not right. And I know that Priti Patel, the Conservative government, that they did issue that deportation order. But I'm glad that justice has been done, that those 3 individuals saw that there was a lack of evidence, that how the case collapsed. Yeah. That is, that would have been a travesty. Had those individuals been deported and it was found out later on that there wasn't any evidence to back that up, that would have been a travesty of justice. So I'm very, very pleased for those 3 individuals, for their families, and many other people within the wider community who were very, very anxious about the fate of those 3 individuals. So look, what happens in Parliament is, whether it's with that issue, whether it's with Jagtar Singh Johal, or if it's related to any one particular individual, parliamentary protocol, how things work, is that we look to the local MP, that they show leadership. For example, in Jagtar Singh Johal's case, we had the MP Martin in Scotland. So we then, he's the one that sometimes initiated letters, and he would apply for a parliamentary debate, and then the likes of me on umpteen occasions stood up and supported that endeavour to say, look, we've got to make sure that if there is a British citizen involved, what is the government doing about it? And where is the Foreign Secretary? Where is the government? And we need to make sure that human rights are placed first. It shouldn't just be that somebody, for some other aims and objectives, does not bear the fact that human rights are crucial.
Yeah. I mean, after the West Midlands 3 case, and also with the Jaggi case as well, a lot of Sikhs in the UK started fearing for their safety in India, because a lot of us go online and we talk about what happened in 1984, or the extrajudicial murders for which police officers have actually gone to prison for during the 90s as well. And a lot of people are concerned that just, writing about that on social media, on Facebook or Twitter or something, is enough to get you detained in India illegally. And a lot of the Sikh Federation are actually calling for the resignation for Priti Patel.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? What's your thoughts?
Well, look, first of all, everybody has the right to engage in peaceful protest, whether that's individuals here in the UK, whether that is peacefully protesting farmers out in India. The likes of me have spoken up on numerous occasions on that as well, to not just express solidarity with those farmers, because we also come from farming backgrounds. My parents, grandparents, that they were extremely concerned when we saw footage of tear gas or water cannon or brute force being used against farmers. So just as they have a right to engage in peaceful protest and activism, so does anybody in the UK. As long as individuals are not inciting violence or something which is very untowards, everybody has a right to their own opinion. I think that's always needs to be borne in mind, especially that within a democratic setup, we are not living in some sort of authoritarian or totalitarian regime where such activism is clamped down upon. As I said, it's everybody's right. And I'm aware of Sikh Federation and others who have called for Priti Patel's resignation. The likes of me have been calling for her resignation. You will have known that the Labour Party, on numerous occasions, if somebody breaks the ministerial code or if somebody's accused of bullying, if they're also found to be in contravention of those aspects of day-to-day polity, then they need to be held to account. But unfortunately, we are where we are with the current government. Boris Johnson, as Prime Minister, not only is he a pathological liar, but he is also, on various occasions, defended his own ministers, even when they have been in the wrong. Yeah. So I'm not expecting her resignation or his suddenly, bearing in mind that there's something called the truth and due process. If someone's done something wrong, that they should be held to account. But that's where we are.
Yeah. And just finally, you mentioned Jagtar Singh Johal as well earlier. It's in November next month. It's going to be 4 years since his detainment in India. Yeah. And I know you're part of the Sikh APPG as well. Are there moves to have this raised with Liz Truss, the new Foreign Secretary, and to have her address this issue?
Well, these issues have been discussed, as I said, under the leadership of Martin Dr. Hughes, who was a local MP for Jagtar Singh Johal. His family have also been very, very hard-working to ensure that they are working for justice for Jagtar Singh Johal. I've raised this issue on umpteen occasions. It's been discussed and raised within the all-party parliamentary group for British Sikhs. In Parliament, we've had debates on this. I remember last time questioning the Foreign Office Minister, where's the Foreign Secretary? Why is the Foreign Secretary still not met with the family? Where is consular support? What is the government actually doing? And to this day, I don't think the Foreign Secretary, to the best of my knowledge, has actually met with the Johal family, whether that was previously with Jeremy Hunt or whether it was with Dominic Raab. I'm not holding out much hope with Liz Truss, but we can but live in hope and keep demanding that. And I think it's important that the family and other individuals, I know there's a lot of people supporting that campaign, that they call upon the Foreign Secretary to be helping out a British citizen. And everybody deserves justice. And that's where we've been coming from. That one, when there have been allegations of serious allegations of torture, that those also need to be examined. I think that there was work done by Redress and others. So there are a lot of concerns, and I hope that the incoming Foreign Secretary will act upon those.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Pleasure as always, Dawinderpal. Thank you. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.